Hi, welcome along to AFTV Transfer Daily, the show that keeps you up to date with players that have been linked with a summer transfer move to Arsenal. Only 7 days to go till the transfer window closes. No more players can come in, no more deals. I'll get sleep in the morning, but it'll be closed, right? And we still haven't got that centre back. We still haven't got that striker. And what can I say? The quest continues. Will it be sort of a deadline day, rush by Arsenal? It's looking that way at the moment. The real problem at the moment is the centre-back position. We all thinking to ourselves, Mustafi, that's done, it's over the line. And it could still happen. As I said yesterday, I think there's still a lot of brinkmanship being done on that Mustafi deal. From what I understand, the player wants to come to Arsenal. Personal terms have been agreed. But the problem is now, obviously, Valencia trying to get as much money as they possibly can. They're holding out. Arsenal are holding out. Who's going to break? Will they keep him? That's something we will definitely find out over the next 7 days. But Arsenal definitely looking at a load of alternatives. One alternative that's come about today is Phil Jones, another Manchester United player. We were talking obviously about Johnny Evans, who's an ex-Man United player before, but Phil Jones still currently a Manchester United player. Now he's been linked with a move to Arsenal. He's not really been getting much game time at Manchester United. He's still only 24, by the way. The Telegraph are reporting that he's on a list of centre-backs that Arsenal are looking at. Of course, we all know about his versatility. That's kind of been his downfall in the past, and the fact that he seems to be able to play anywhere: right back, left back, centre back, midfield. But essentially, he is a centre back. And if you remember rightly, Arsenal were linked with Phil Jones even before he went to Manchester United. It was sort of whether he was going to go to Arsenal or Man United. He chose to go to Manchester United, and it just hasn't really worked out for him. Would this be the sort of signing that would be good for Arsenal? Again, I don't know. He is very versatile. He is very experienced, but is he the quality of player that we need? I'm not sure. And then there's would Mourinho even sell him to Arsenal? I mean, there's rumours that Mourinho wants to keep him at Manchester United anyway, but Phil Jones linked with Arsenal today. Kostas Manolas, who's been linked with Arsenal last year, the year before, this year again, he's been linked again today. Of course, he plays for Roma. He's 25, experienced player. And you know what? I'm not sure about this one because Chelsea have been trying to sign him before, and Roma didn't want to sell him. He's Roma put like quite a big price tag on his head. I know that Arsenal do like him, but whether they'd be prepared to pay, I think he'd cost more money than what Mustafi would cost. And whether Arsenal will be prepared to pay that, that's one thing. I'm not sure if he'd be cup-tied as well, because he played in the Champions League last night. They got beat 3-0 by Porto. By the way, in that game, if you watched that, highlights of that game, Wojciech Szczesny made the howler of all howlers. You have to watch it. It's terrible. Would Arsenal go in for Manolas? I don't know. I think this is a deal that would be way too expensive, and plus, as well, as I said, I don't think Roma really want to sell him. They really want to keep hold of him, but he's being linked. Omar Toprak, who has been linked previously of Bayer Leverkusen, 27 years of age, experienced player, very highly rated in the Bundesliga. He even came out the other day and said, listen, I could be leaving Bayer Leverkusen. So it's as if he realizes that, he could be leaving. I'm sure he'd be open to a move to Arsenal, but is he what we need? Is he good enough? I don't know enough about him. As I've said, I've heard that, he's rated quite highly in the Bundesliga, but is he what we need? But he's linked again today with Arsenal. So a whole host of centre-back options for Arsenal if they're not able to get hold of Mustafi. Still no striker, though. Still no striker. That's the worrying one. The president of Lyon has come out again today, or shall I say yesterday, and said that, listen, Lacazette is not leaving Lyon, he's staying. And it's looking like that's dead. It's looking like we're not going to sign Lacazette, and Lacazette will be staying at Lyon. So what are the alternatives? And you look out there and it's not, it's hard to see any. James Rodriguez linked with Arsenal today. Not really a striker, but of course he's a a forward player, more of a winger, more of a sort of number 10 type player. We've got loads and loads of those, but he's linked with Arsenal today. Being told that David Ospina, his Colombian teammate, has urged him to join Arsenal. Now, remember, he cost a whopping nearly £70 million for Real Madrid, and they're trying to recoup as much of that as possible. We're being told that they take £50 million or 50 to 51 million pounds for him, which again is still a lot of money for a guy that basically has gone to Real Madrid and he has flopped. He's not been successful at Real Madrid, and he's not a striker. He's more of a number 10, and as I said, we've got loads of number 10s. You know, we've got Ozil, we've got Ramsey who can play there, we've got Wilshere who can play there, you know, we've got Santi Cazorla who can play. We've got a whole abundance of players. I really see that as a waste of money. Yes, it would be a big name, but it's not what we need. We need to get what we need, which for me is a striker. That is what Arsenal need. James Rodriguez, for me, wouldn't fit the bill. And what about this rumour here about Antoine Griezmann? Now, this intriguing one that's come up today, according to Squawka, the website Squawka, they claim that Arsenal have been secretly pursuing Antoine Griezmann this summer, and that they were prepared to pay up to £60 million for him. They were hoping, Arsenal, apparently according to this article, that Atletico Madrid were going to buy Diego Costa, and at one time it did look like Costa would be returning back to Atletico Madrid, and then they hoped that if he went back to Atletico Madrid, then they'd be able to swoop down and get Antoine Griezmann for around about £60 million, which, I don't know, it doesn't, where have they got this story from? I mean, I could have made this up. I don't see any substance to that story. Antoine Griezmann's release clause, of course, is, we know, is 85 million. It was probably around about 60 million before, but he signed a new deal early on in the summer transfer window, which sent that release clause up to 85 million. I can't see that happening. And if Arsenal are serious about getting a player like Antoine Griezmann, and they were prepared to pay 60 million, for me, go out there and get it done. Go out there and bring in Antoine Griezmann, you know, go and meet that release clause. Although, as I said before, I can't see why Antoine Griezmann would want to leave a club that he's at the moment, that is very successful, that are doing really, really well, and come to play for Arsenal, when Arsenal at the moment, we have to say, are not up there with Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid, you know, they're challenging in their league every season. They're a top club. They really are a top club at the moment, and you can't say that for Arsenal. You can't say that Arsenal at the moment are a top club. Well, we are a top club, but not in the same stature right now as Atletico Madrid. I did a poll yesterday, and I asked the question, what's more important to get for Arsenal, a striker or a centre-back? 86% of you said a striker. 86%. That is absolutely huge. And, you know, it's not looking like we're going to get a striker, but 86% of you say you would like a striker. And there you see there the source of a lot of the frustration that's going around at the moment. And Arsene Wenger, I was reading an interesting article where he's been speaking to Alan Kirbishley for Kirbishley's new book, Inside English Football. And these are his quotes from Arsene Wenger. He said, "I personally believe that the only way to be a manager is to spend the club's money as if it were your own. Because if you don't, then you're susceptible to too many mistakes. You make big decisions, and I believe you have to act like it's your own money. Like you're the owner of the club, and you can identify completely with the club. Because if you don't do that, you cannot go far. Your own money." And this is a thing that he's been criticised for many times in the past, treating it like it's his own money. It's not your money. It's not. But the problem is at Arsenal is the setup. And I've said it, you know, it's a broken record now. It's the setup. Arsene Wenger should not be the person who has overall charge of that money. That should be dealt with by a director of football or a sporting director, like all the other top clubs in Europe do. He identifies, you know, he says who he wants and they go out there and buy him. Money shouldn't be a worry to him. He should just say to the board or to the director of football, I'd like Antoine Griezmann. And then they go out there and they say, right, we're going to go and get Antoine Griezmann. Or they turn around and say, well, you know what, Arsenal, we can't afford Antoine Griezmann. It's too much money. You've got another target. Then he gives it to them. The money part of it has got nothing to do with Arsene Wenger, as far as I'm concerned. Obviously, as a manager, you don't want to waste the club's money. I understand that. But the actual nitty-gritty of the money, it's not your money. Yeah? It's more my money than it is his money because he's getting paid. We're contributing by, you know, paying to go into games. It's not your money, Arsene. You know, if anything, it's the owner of the club's money because he's in charge over all of that money. And I think it's him and the people who work for him, director of footballs, people like that, who should decide what is spent and not Arsene Wenger. And I think that is one of the fundamental problems at Arsenal Football Club. It was a thing that was worked back in the day when managers had complete control, like Arsene Wenger, Alex Ferguson, but football's moved on now. And our structure is out of date, and this is why I feel so many deals always fall through. Because we're trying to treat it like how it used to be, and it's not like that no more. That is the plain truth. It's not like that anymore. But anyway, 7 days to go. Who knows what's going to happen? Keep watching it here. Keep it locked here. 7 days to go. Let's hope we can get that striker that we really need.
On like a left wing or midfielder. And when I was 8, we actually had a game where our goalkeeper didn't come. So we had a second goalkeeper and he didn't turn up either. So somebody had to play in goal. And as I used to try it in that smaller goal, I just said, okay, I'll do it for one game.